Yeah, obviously sadness first of all. I mean, we lost one of our true warriors in the game. So very, very sad. And it's a guy I knew very well. You know, played a lot of rugby against him, played Barbarians with him. You know, nothing but good memories. You know, on the rugby field, obviously hard as nails. You know, but the first guy afterwards come up, have a beer, exchange a shirt. You know, a wonderful man and a rugby man. So he will be missed.
Yeah, you obviously had a reasonably similar rugby philosophies, especially in your younger days. You played a pretty direct brand of rugby. I mean, you use the hands a bit more these days, but I remember you and Jerry were the kind of guys who went sort of hell for leather. I suppose there always have been big similarities between the two of you.
Absolutely, and I mean, obviously playing the All Blacks, you know, such a big rivalry, and then adding Jerry Collins onto that. You know, he's the one guy that probably set the physical tone for the All Blacks. So that was my job back in the day, try and keep Jerry quiet or trying to intimidate him. And look, this guy never backed down. He's one of those blokes who catches the ball 50 metres back and he looks you straight in the face and say, okay, who's the bravest? You know, he was a hard man. He was a hard man.
I remember a particular test match here, of course, 2005 was it when we beat the All Blacks in a really epic test match. You were still a pretty young player at the time. I guess, you know, he was relatively spring chicken then too. But the Boks won that game, and I remember you two really went hammer and tongs. Does that go down as a particularly memorable test match?
Yeah, big time. It was a couple of hits going both ways. I think Jerry had a few on me that day, but you know, that was what it was like playing Jerry. You know, there was no backing down. And I think if you were the type of player to back down, I think he would have lost respect for you. You know, he wanted you to show and earn respect, and the way by doing that was taking him on head on. And you know, Jerry won most of those collisions throughout his career. And you know, I think the way he played, you know, epitomizes, you know, what type of man he was. You know, he was a hard man, but he was an honest and true man.
Yeah. And just to remind us a little bit about your experiences with him at Barbar's level, when you played with him, and how different it is suddenly having a fierce opponent turn sort of close teammate. And
Rob, I mean, I don't think you know, this interview is long enough. I mean, obviously Barbarians nights start reasonably early. You know, training is short, and every single night we had there started in the Red Bar in Park Lane, and then continued late into early hours of the morning. A couple of times in Wellington, myself and John Villiers actually, you know, had a big night with him. You know, he was a nice man. You know, the first time played against him was 2003 Rugby World Cup in the quarterfinal. So you know, we obviously played for a long time against each other, and you know, it was just getting back into rugby things, you know, after retiring, after going to Japan. So yeah, the standout feature would be my night out in the town with Jerry Collins.
Yeah, I've heard he was the kind of rugby player who's had a sort of a slightly old-fashioned ethic that you know, you played hard on the field, but always time to have a beer afterwards. I know you don't get as many opportunities these days, which I suppose is quite sad, but I suppose you try and make them, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if it's a little bit shorter than the old days, you know, that's the sad thing about the rugby now. You know, everyone's got their own schedule and their own program, and they stick to that. And you know, it's so busy, it's helter-skelter, so you hardly ever get the opportunity like in the old days to sit down and actually have a good chat to players. But obviously I've been playing for long enough, so you know, you catch up a little bit by little bit, and it's something I've always held close to my heart. You know, Jerry was similar.
Yeah. What sort of other flankers in your own playing career would you put in the same sort of league for just that sort of that physical edge and that hardness?
Yeah, I think Jerry was a standout player. You know, I think there's guys who come and go for 1 or 2 seasons that can compete at that level. But Jerry did it for a number of years. You know, he was the one. You know, he was the one. If you were carrying the ball, you know, you almost felt like he was hunting you. You know, Jerry was coming. You know, so he was an intimidating fella to play against.
Yeah, Schalk, obviously you must be sort of holding thumbs for his daughter. We're all obviously monitoring the reports of her well-being. It sounds as though he was sort of trying to cradle her and protect her. I mean, as a sort of father yourself, it must be something that hurts very deeply. And I guess, you know, you're also sort of holding thumbs for his daughter as a sort of, you know, hopefully a surviving. She'll sort of help extend his legacy in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a sad situation. You know, I think the whole rugby world's touched by it. You know, so young. You're obviously a guy who played in your era, and now all of a sudden he's gone. You know, it still doesn't feel real. You know, let's hold thumbs that the daughter pulls through.